Well guys, today's video we are answering that age-old question. Will this size tire fit on X amount of lift? And today's test subject is Ryan's 2024 Jeep Wrangler 2-door Sport, featuring an 1.5-inch Clayton Off-Road Ride Rate suspension kit. As you can see, we already run a set of 35s on here that we picked up from B&M Off-Road, but today we are going to see if 37s will fit. This has been a question that everyone seems to ask: how much lift do I need to run these tires? Can I actually articulate with it? Will it hit my fender flares on flex? And we just ultimately like to try things out so you guys can see and make the best choice on your lift height as well as your tire size. Are you struggling to find that perfect gift for the Jeep owner in your life? Oh, thanks, a stock stabilizer. Appreciate it. Today we're going to be checking out the gear from JEDCO Gear. Now these guys have officially licensed Jeep merch. It's made in Maryland, which is really close to us. We've been rocking their gear for the past few months and it has been some great quality stuff. Now they hooked us up with a whole box ranging from anything from hats, decals, jackets, they have sweatshirts, hoodies, even t-shirts, all Jeep related. They have a lot of cool designs and something that's going to fit your personality or the person you're looking to gift it to. Be sure to check out JEDCO Gear. We'll leave a coupon code down below in the description where you can save a little bit of cash and also pick up some great quality gear. Huge shout out to JEDCO for hooking us up, and we're super happy to share it with you guys. So the age-old question, will the tire size fit, really is prevalent with 37s because these seem to be the most popular with the new JL and JT platform. Now I run a set of 37 by 12.5 on a 17-inch KMC beadlock wheel below here, and the biggest thing that you have to ask yourself is when you're running a larger size tire like this, or any size tire that you think can fit, is you got to go through a couple questions. Not only will you want to make sure that yes, the tire can fit underneath the fender flare, it can clear the frame rail, it can clear your rock rail in the back, and it can sit there when it's on flat ground. The second thing you want to make sure is that with the proper back spacing, you can turn lock to lock. So it's one great thing, you can fit these 37s while they're sitting flat with the fender flare here, but can you actually turn them? If the answer is no, they won't interfere, then you should be good to go with that back spacing and the tire size. But then the third thing to consider is, do you plan to take the Jeep out wheeling and really flex it out? Because if you run a 37 and you're about an inch or two away from your fender flare, as soon as you hit some up travel, if your bump stop's not going to stop that, it is going to crush anything that it's in its way, or it's going to tear into your tire. Both things you do not want to happen. It's a couple things to consider no matter what tire size you're going with, is answer those questions for you in your head. Can you fit them? Will it turn? And then will it stuff up or droop down when you're wheeling or out articulating? If that doesn't matter to you and you just want it to be a daily driver, the last question isn't as serious, but those are some good tips for you if you're thinking about a tire size. So after a year later, the 37s that we put on this Jeep, you can see there is a little bit of wear and tear on them. Obviously the tread has gone down a little bit. I put about 17,000 miles on these, but the Baja Boss MTs look fantastic still. The only thing we're running into a little bit is obviously on the inside from going wheeling as much as we do have all the dirt and that in here. And the other thing you have to consider with all this dirt and some of that acidic water that you get on here, you have to be careful because some of it can dry rot your tires out a little bit. It's just a chemical reaction. And also when I take my wheels and tires off, this is now a really good time for me to rotate them as well. I'm going to roll them around just like this to look for any sort of tread issues or any sort of nicks or cuts, scratches, any kind of deep dives into there. The other thing that I'm a little bit upset about, my rotors are rusting pretty bad. So you can see that on the back of this wheel. This is an aluminum wheel. It shouldn't have all that corrosion onto it, but if we look over here at my rotor, you see the corrosion on the actual face of this rotor here. Now what happens, and the problem is you can see that the actual part of the hub is rusting too. And we've had this before, Ryan. Remember back in the CJ days where we'd have the trucks like this and you'd have to like donkey kick them to get the tires to come off. And it's because this is causing some corrosion. So before I put these back on, I might hit this with a little bit of sandpaper or wire wheel just to clean it up a bit. But if anyone knows of a good braking rotor sponsor, I mean rotors and calipers, we're kind of looking for both. This would be nice to swap out with some bigger Brembos or some bigger pistons because we're stopping all that weight. Well, we have all four of them pulled off my Jeep, and now here's kind of a good size comparison between the KMC I forget if these are the tanks or the grenades. I think they're the tanks. I can't remember all the names that these beadlock companies come up with. But these KMC wheels compared to the KMC GRS. Now the nice thing with Ryan's is that they aren't beadlock, but they still look exactly like a beadlock. So you still get the look, and apparently you still can remove the bolts out of these, so you could color match those. You just can't pull the ring off. Now with mine, it obviously requires a lot more service and upkeep, but here's a good comparison, 37 to 35. And Ryan was just mentioning off camera, a lot of people with lift kit heights, you really need to be certain on how much actual lift you're gonna get once you have bumpers, winch, the full weight of you, all your cargo in the back, and how much it's going to sit like. The thing that I like about Clayton is that they already factor in the weight of a front steel winch bumper as well as the winch up front. So it's not just factoring in a plastic bumper. So that way, as soon as you throw that on, it dips in the front. It's already factoring that in. So we're seeing a little bit more height compared to when Ryan does put on the front bumper with the winch. The other thing too is Ryan does have a base sport. So this is sport fender flares. We do plan on upgrading these to a different type of set, but you can see that these are significantly lower than mine, just because there's no notch out here on the front the latch below there. But you're not going to get as much clearance with these factory fender flares, and that's why I want to see if the 37s will fit now, because if we do a different fender mod, which we're planning on doing, we'll easily be able to fit it. But remember, this is an 1.5" ride right kit, so this is just 1.5 inches. It'll probably hit a little bit of things in there, and if you're gonna run a 37 with an 1.5" kit, talk to the guys at Clayton, because they can probably add a little bit more of a bump stop extension for you. That way you're not smashing in, because these kits are designed with different tire sizes in mind, and they do recommend a certain tire size with a Rubicon or a Sport or a 4xe. They really have it dialed in. So you can kind of see the difference here just looking at the rear versus the front. It looks like Ryan's about to go race on a drag strip, but it did pick up the rear end a little bit more too. So 37s, you're going to obviously have some more height off of that, and it does fill in the wheel well a little bit closer. But if you look at the front here too, we're going to swap those out. You can see that we do have more of a gap. Now, I don't think Ryan would hit even on that rock rail on the back. It doesn't look like it will at all, but the front's where we're going to kind of see where to go lock to lock. We do have more back spacing on my wheels than Ryan does, so we'll help with that turning articulation. He does still have a front stock bumper though, but there's just comparison, 37s, 35s. It does make a difference. All right guys, well here it is, 37s, they will clear. So just sitting here, kind of getting a just setting stance while it would be parked. It's all clear, the full body weight is on the vehicle here. Now obviously we don't have a front bumper, rear steel bumpers, but we do have a ton of clearance up here. It's not gonna hit that rock rail. It's definitely, well, I wouldn't say definitely, but it's probably not gonna hit the that little frame rail piece in there. Might touch the front bumper just because we still have that stock plastic front bumper. But the biggest thing is the rear. I just don't like the gap between the rear fender here. This is a little bit close for me. So this is probably 3-4 inches in here, and that's not enough of a gap, especially when you're wheeling. Now, if you had Rubicon fenders, these would be up a little bit higher and make a more flat kind of bottom piece and not be hanging down as far. But Ryan just said it does, I don't know, it's a little bit too beefy for this Jeep. Yeah. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, I like the 35s.
I like the 35s, and plus the offset of these, they're sticking out more.
Yeah.
So you can see that, like just from the front end, these are sticking out further. Now, if you had like the fender extensions like I have and the Rubicon fenders, that would be perfectly fine. But I mean, they fit.
Yeah, I mean,
they will fit. We'll see what it looks like lock to lock.
Looks good.
It does look good. Yeah, it makes it look beefy. I think if I were to run this on yours, I'd probably go up to a 2.5 inch kit. Make it a little bit higher, throw some Ruby flares on there. The answer is, will they fit? Yes, they'll fit. So if you're daily driving this, it'll fit perfectly fine. You're not gonna have any problems, even hitting some bumps in that in the road. Now we'll turn it lock to lock, see if we hit it. I'll hop in, Ryan, and we'll check the front and see what it looks like. So Ryan's outside looking at this. Where's it close to the frame bracket?
It's gotta be less than an inch.
To the frame bracket. Yeah, so Ryan...
You know, considering removing that piece might be...
Do it at your own risk. All right, let's see if it hits the front bumper at all. Is it hitting?
No, that is way more clearance there.
Yeah, that's like a 1/2 inch away. But I mean, it clears though, and it's a 1/2 inch away, and it's not going to change its vertical like up and down, so it would still clear it. Yeah, it's not, you're good left to right like that too. Really, the back end, I mean, it clears though, it all clears. There you go, you're straight there. So yeah, maybe just a little bit of a bump stop extension up front, just so that way you're not smashing into your fender flares if you wanted to keep these stock fenders, but they would work.
What about on stock?
On a stock suspension, no, you'd be hitting the fender flares. The bumper you would definitely be hitting, probably that frame extension piece. The back rack rail, that would be hitting right now.
For a 37, you need at least an inch.
At least. I would recommend a 2.5 to be perfect, but I think an 1.5 inches you could get away with, but a 2.5 would probably be perfect. On today's viewer rig of the video, we are checking out Rapid Shoot Images 2-door JL. Now this is a good looking 2-door, and we don't see too many of them being submitted. The nice thing with this one, it does look to have a mild lift on there. It's also got a set of the fuel coverts, and it looks like to be a 20-inch wheel. Rough country front bumper with a Badlands Apex 12,000 pound front winch, set of rock sliders with the built-in steps, and a few more smaller mods to it. I really like the Oracle flush mount taillights, and honestly it's been kind of something that we've been looking at on the channel as well. Looks like a set of the Diode Dynamics front headlights as well too to help you see at night, and a nice set of tint on there. He is from North Dakota and said it's mostly flat, but those are some great pictures, and we wanted to thank you so much for submitting those. If you guys want to submit your rig for a viewer rig of the video, be sure to hit us up through Instagram or send us an email. Well guys, we're just wrapping up the day. We installed a set of 37s on Ryan's Jeep just to see how they would look and maybe how they would turn lock to lock, and overall just kind of what we thought about them. We initially thought that they would fit. That was kind of our gut feeling. We thought the 37s would fit and that they would look okay. You know, I wanted a little bit more of a fender gap or a wheel to fender gap on here. I'm a big guy. I like a little bit more of that fender gap on there, but overall the 37's will clear. If you had a Rubicon, Ryan, what do you think? This would probably be a fine setup. Yeah. If you had the Rubicon fenders picking this up a little bit higher, you'd have probably another 2 inches, 3 inches of clearance. Give you some more wheel well gap, give you some more clearances there. The things to consider about the bump stops, talking wheel lock to lock, the back spacing on my wheels is a little bit less than Ryan's, so they do poke out a little bit more. So this will be more stress on your front and rear axle, and since it's a sport, it doesn't have the heavy duty Dana 44s. This is the Dana 30 and the 35 in the rear there, or whatever they call them, the M180 and the M190 now. But we do have some plans to fix that too with one of our upfitter partners, huh? How about it, Ryan? But yeah, they will fit. They'll clear the 37s. They do look good on here, but for Ryan, it's just a little bit too beefy. I agree with that. I think they're poking out a little bit too far. And on a two-door, you almost have to have the height and the width at the same stature. I like the 35s. I think they look nice. I think they ride nice for you as well. But this is more of an informational video. We did this before with my dad's Jeep. We do a lot of work to do these. We end up swapping out all these wheels and tires, end up doing a rotation in between. But it's just so you guys can see what fits and what clears. If this is going to be your daily driver, this is what you like the look of, this will clear just like this. And I think this looks nice, but yeah, I think the 35s look a little bit better.
You definitely need a regear at that point.
With this, yeah, you'd need regear and the Ruby flares and some bump stop extensions. But yeah, maybe a Hellcat. Yeah, I mean, just to make it reasonable. There it is. There's your answer. Will 37s fit? Until next time, my name's Matt with Dirt Road CRED, and I want you to get out there and earn yours.